All right, NAIA football fans, this is Cory Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIAFBALL podcast, powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Since 1974, they have absolutely been the best in the business for us. They can be for you too. Go check them out at adcraftusa.com. Well, welcome back. It's been another great week of flag football. All throughout the week, got a lot of great clarifying matchups. I'll put it that way this week here across the landscape. And the first one was Thursday afternoon as Thomas absolutely dispatches Kaiser University 25-6. Thomas's defense was out in full force. Making Jasmine Roden ineffective, and for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure why, but Jasmine was standing next to the Kaiser head coach there for most of the game there, while Haley Young took most of the snaps. 14 of 24 was Young. Was a good burst, came in off the bench, got a touchdown for Kaiser to Brenner Ramirez there, who was the leading receiver for Kaiser with 7 receptions for 51 yards. Alexa Wilson was good enough, I'll put it that way, in a game where she didn't have to be perfect. She was 18 of 30 for 240 yards and 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 through the air. Kiera Knight was the recipient of that touchdown. You can just see the difference in yards per play here for these two squads. Kaiser at 2.82, Thomas at 7.38. Thomas is just playing at an absolutely absurd level right now. We'll just have to see how much that keeps up going into the Sun Conference tournament, which they are 2 games away from locking up. A little more Sun Conference action here. St. Thomas playing better as of late. Gets a 25-14 win over Weber. Holly Neer just has been a steadying presence for St. Thomas. Was not the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season. That was Julianne Yolkowski. Neer was the third string quarterback at the beginning of the season, but has done an absolutely fantastic job of taking over and getting St. Thomas on track. Jada Graham, just an absolutely great game for St. Thomas. 7 receptions for 51 yards and a touchdown. 2 attempts on the ground for 61 yards and a touchdown. Sam Wilson was efficient, but just could not avoid the turnovers. Touchdown and 2 picks there. And obviously, the game that had a bunch of the folks in the flag football world sending screenshots and eyes emojis was a very narrow win for Ottawa. Ottawa gets it done, comes back over Kansas Wesleyan and wins 28-20. The NAIA does not have instant replay, and so there are things that I cannot say with certainty, such as the Hail Mary at halftime being scored. I thought that Alyssa Linkus was down at the 1 there, but again, no instant replay. My eyes might be judging something differently. And then at the end of the ball game, just a heave by Brianna Hernandez Silva. And she was called for the sack there. I and a few other people that were watching thought that she might have gotten it off, but we will see. Obviously, like I said, no instant replay, no way to know. But For a couple of those big plays, Kansas Wesleyan would have had it, but that is life in the NAIA. Madison Carrera was really, really good for Ottawa. 26 of 34 for 286 and 4 touchdown passes, 11 rushes for 42 yards. Alyssa Linkus and Bailey Hodgins were absolutely phenomenal for Ottawa, keeping Ottawa in the game as Linkus is wont to do. Hernandez Silva was also really, really good. 83 yards rushing and a touchdown through the air on 23 of 36 passing. Corinne DeKey was really good as well. Just a great weapon for Kansas Wesleyan. 9 receptions, 106 yards, and a touchdown. And Shania Marape, 3 sacks of Madison Carrera. That is really, really tough to do on Carrera. She is very hard to take down, and so that's why most of the folks who are in our poll are kind of in agreement at this point. We're not quite sure what we're seeing either. Ottawa is down, the KCAC is up, or the Sun Conference just looks so amazing in comparison that the KCAC just looks a little bit further down in Ottawa with it. We're not 100% sure what we're seeing at this juncture because Ottawa was unable to schedule any Sun Conference teams this year so that we can know for sure. We will get to know for sure once we get to Atlanta, but it's going to be a month and a half before we can tell that. So, in the interim, we have this. Thomas solidifies a now unanimous number 1 ranking with their Mercy Rule win over Kaiser. Ottawa at 2, Kaiser stays at 3, Warner stays at 4. Right now, Thomas is playing at a very, very high level. They're doing all the little things very well. Ottawa is playing at a very high level. They are both very good squads. I think Thomas has the advantage right now. And stay with us. After this break, we will be back with more flag football action here on the NAIAFBALL live show powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch.
So you want to create and sell custom merch for your team or business. That's exciting, but where do you begin? How much inventory should you order? How do you distribute orders? AdCraft has your answers. Streamline the way you offer custom merch by utilizing our risk-free web store service. We ship directly to each customer, and we have the fastest turnaround in the game. Raise funds for your team or get merch to your employees and patrons. Contact AdCraft today, and let's bring your merch to life.
That's exactly what they're doing. Lots of web stores going on right now for AdCraft. They're doing a great job over there in the middle of the country. NAI Roots, if you are a team that is looking to partner with someone in that industry, your contract is coming up for renewal and you're wanting to take a look at some other options, give our friends at AdCraft a call. They are the best in the business. And like I said, they know what it takes to run a small school program. They have NAI grads up and down their staff. They know what it's like. Go with someone who knows what your world is like. Go with AdCraft. Let's take a look at our players of the week. This one was pretty obvious to me. Madison Carrera had a great week. 39 of 56 passing for 459 yards and 8 touchdowns through the air, 106 yards on the ground on 18 attempts. I did not do the math on that off the top of my head, but that is almost 6 yards a carry for Carrera. And she is leading Ottawa back for a shot at back-to-back NAIA National Championship hardware. Let's take a look at our defensive player of the week. Samaya Bryant was really good against Thomas, was really good against Warner. I believe Warner. No, Reinhardt. 8 pulls, 3 pulls for loss, and 2 sacks through 2 games. Just a really nice set of games for Samaya Bryant. A lot of impact there for the Seahawk. Now let's take a look at what we've got coming up. And we've already had a couple games that are either gone final or are still in progress. Let me actually take a look and see. Earlier today, Campbellsville played Fort Lauderdale and won 6-0. Let me take a look at the final here. In the second game, FIU defeats Campbellsville 19-13 there in that game. But let's see. Wednesday and Thursday are really our big days for football here this week. Tomorrow, Campbellsville goes and plays St. Thomas at Weber, and Weber will also pick up a game there against Campbellsville. On Wednesday, Campbellsville travels on their way back up to Campbellsville. They'll stop off at Florida Gateway and get a game in there. Warner, number 4 Warner, will play St. Thomas. Got to watch out for if you're Warner. St. Thomas is getting hot lately. You cannot overlook the Bobcats. Ottawa hosts St. Mary. Kansas Wesleyan tries to really claim second place outright. They're tied with Midland and Cory. Surprising. But Cory is definitely still in this. Kansas Wesleyan has a tiebreaker over Midland right now, but if they lose the game, you're a game down. They've got to win if they want to lay claim to that second place spot. I think they will. Kansas Wesleyan's playing at a very, very high level right now. Ottawa also will play Cory, and so if Kansas Wesleyan can win over Midland and Ottawa beats Cory, Kansas Wesleyan will have second place all to themselves. On Thursday, we've got a pair of games here. Thomas plays Weber, and Kaiser plays Florida Memorial. Just a couple of the top teams in the Sun taking aim against what currently is 2 of the 3 worst teams in the Sun. I hate to say that out loud. Right now, Warner, Weber, and Florida Memorial are under 500 in conference. Florida Memorial is 0-6, unfortunately. With a win, Thomas gets 1 game from that Sun Conference Championship. And then our lone Saturday game, a 1 p.m. showdown between Ottawa and Reinhardt. And that'll be fun to watch Ottawa play at Reinhardt. It'll give us a little bit of a comparison point, although, I don't know that it's fair for them, seeing that Reinhardt, unfortunately, was the subject of a Kaiser. Kaiser being very mad about losing to Thomas, and then they took it out on Reinhardt. But here's the thing. After this week, we have 2 weeks left of NAIA flag football before we get to conference championship week. And it's going to end up here pretty soon. Ottawa at the end of the week, if they beat St. Mary and Cory, and Kansas Wesleyan defeats Midland, then at the end of this week, Ottawa will claim their 3rd consecutive KCAC championship. Again, Thomas can claim theirs next week with a win over St. Thomas, or this week with a win over Weber and a Kaiser loss against Florida Memorial. The one that we can do thus far is actually an independent. Campbellsville and Reinhardt are independents this year. They're true independents, but in the style of the NAIA, where being independent is a conference, Reinhardt has captured the Independent Flag Football Conference Championship. They do not play Campbellsville again. They are 2-0 against Campbellsville, and they do not play them again. So congratulations to Reinhardt for winning the Independent Conference Championship. We will see here what it holds very, very quickly as we march ever closer to Atlanta, where we will get to see all of these teams, where I will have coverage of all these teams. We'll see how much coverage, because I may or may not be in another role there in Atlanta and not being able to patrol the sidelines as in years past. But don't worry, you'll still be able to keep up with exactly everything I'm doing there. Let's get to the fun part, my favorite part. These are the people who make it work here for NAIAF ball. These are our champions here, our patrons, and they are Hayden Ferrigno, Nick Ryan, Nathan Moore, Justin Cobb, Dale Norton, Marty Seabolt, Tim Burrow, Ace Wellen, Julie Lout, Jerry Quickle, Stephen Cutler, Alex Garcia, Nate Soapbeer, Fred Christensen, Julianne Shager, Shirley Labella, Brian Shake, Jeremy Vobble, Steve Speakman, Roger Meyer, Justin Hoffman, Bob Boone, Tyler Pierce, Darren, Kyle Gregory, and the GOAT, the OG, DSU Cone. These are the guys that help us do what we do. These are our champions. These are the guys that allow us to have the trips out to the national championship game. If you want to join that and support flag football in the NAIA, support conventional football in the NAIA, please consider going over to patreon.com/NAIAFball. It's only $1 a month, and you will be one of our champions. So let's take a look at the YouTube page and let's see if we've got any comments here. Thank you for the 1 or 2 people that we've got live. I do appreciate you. If you've got anything, drop it there in the chat. We'll be watching there for any comments. I'm so excited. One, for Atlanta and getting to crown a champion. We've got teams playing at a very, very high level. Better than last year by a wide margin. The level of play in the NAIA is increasing, and fast at that. And very happy to see the development that's happened in the NAIA over the last 3 years, going from teams that were trying to feel their way through to teams that are very good and would go toe-to-toe with any club team across the nation. But seeing none of the comments there, I will go ahead and bid you good night, and thank you for watching the NAIF Ball live show powered by AdCraft, and we'll see you next week.